The wind was soft, but the buzzing in the air was loud. Jake stood near the edge of the jungle on planet Zillary, holding a scanner in his hand. He wore a thick helmet and gloves, his human body protected from the strange insects that flew across the alien sky. He was here to study the giant alien bees, creatures with wings like glass and stingers long as knives, but this morning something felt wrong. The scanner beeped. Jake raised an eyebrow. Huh, that's weird. The bees were acting strange usually. They stayed near their hives, but now they were flying in fast circles, agitated like they were searching for something. And then he heard a scream. A girl's voice, sharp, frightened. Jake turned and ran toward the sound, pushing through thick blue vines. His boots hit soft dirt and the buzzing grew louder there. Just past a tree with glowing leaves, he saw her, an alien girl, young, maybe 17. Her skin was light purple and her hair looked like silver threads. She was holding her backside and groaning in pain. Her knees gave out and she fell to the ground. Jake rushed forward. Hey, are you okay? The girl looked up. Her eyes were wide and glowing. It stung me, she whispered. It stung me there. Jake knelt beside her and saw a large red mark on her lower back just above her tailbone. The area was already swollen, pulsing slightly. It looked worse than any sting he had ever seen. Hold still, he said. He pulled a small med kit from his belt and sprayed the wound with antiseptic foam. The girl winced. It burns, she said softly. It wasn't a normal bee. Jake blinked. You speak English some? She nodded. Learned from traders. My name is Viri. Okay, Viri. I'm Jake, and you just got hit by something. Really nasty. You shouldn't be in this area. It's marked dangerous. Vi tried to sit up but groaned in pain. Her hand shook. I didn't know. I was just looking for fruit. Jake looked around. There were no fruit trees nearby, only flowers. Giant, glowing ones. The bees loved you. Walked into a hive's feeding zone. That was bad luck. He helped her stand, but she could barely walk. Come on, he said. My lab's not far. I can help you there. 15 minutes later, Jake carried Veer into his small lab hut. It was warm and clean, filled with screens and blinking lights. She gently laid her on a bed. Her face was pale, her breathing shallow. Jake scanned the sting again. His machine beeped loudly. What the? He muttered. The venom wasn't normal. It wasn't breaking down. It was spreading through her body and fast. Very, how do you feel? She looked at him, eyes tired. Hot, she whispered. In my body, it's tingling. The sting, my back, it feels like it's growing. Jake lifted her shirt slightly to check the area. His eyes widened. The swelling had doubled in size. It pulsed. No, it throbbed like a second heart. Jake stepped back, shocked. This isn't just a sting. Veer grabbed his wrist, her hand cold. I've heard stories, she said, of a bee sting like this, a sting that chooses what the next queen. Jake stared at their wait. You think the bee didn't just attack you, it marked you. Veer's eyes filled with fear. My mother told me if a queen dies, the hive looks for a new one. And sometimes they pick someone. Jake felt a chill crawl down his neck. He turned toward the scanner. The venom inside her wasn't killing her. It was transforming her. That's crazy, Jake whispered. No, Vi said. That's Ziller life. Jake sat down slowly outside. The sun was setting. And far in the distance, the sound of wings began to rise, buzzing, growing louder. They were coming. Jake looked at the trembling alien girl on his bed and realized something terrifying. This was just the beginning. Jake didn't sleep that night. He sat beside the alien girl, Viri, watching her body tremble on the bed. The swollen area near her lower back had grown again now. It looked like a glowing lump, warm and pulsing beneath her skin. Her breath was shallow. Her silver hair stuck to her face with sweat. Outside, the jungle was quiet. Too quiet. Jake had lived on planet Zillary for almost a year. He knew the jungle never stayed silent. Not unless something dangerous was nearby. He stood up and checked the scanners again. The screen blinked. Red life signs were all around the lab, but not animals. Bees, hundreds of them, they're surrounding us, he whispered suddenly. Veri groaned. Her back arched and she cried out. It's moving. She gasped. Something inside me, it's alive. Jake rushed to her. He tried to calm her, but the glow under her skin grew brighter. The lump on her back, it was no longer just a lump. Tiny lines were forming under her skin like roots or veins glowing with blue light. Jake grabbed his scanner again. He checked the venom level. What the hell, he muttered. It's adapting to your DNA. Veer's fingers clutched his sleeve. What does that mean? Jake wallowed hard. It's not just hurting you, it's bonding with you. He checked the computer logs. Alien bee queens weren't born, they were made when a hive lost its queen. It released a special venom, one that would search for a new host, a strong one that could survive the transformation. Most didn't survive, but Veery was still breathing, still alive. And changing. Fast. Later that morning, the sun rose red and heavy. Jake stepped outside for fresh air. His boots crunched on dry leaves, then he heard a soft hum. He looked up. A bee, no, the bee. The one that had stung Veer. Its wings were longer now, its eyes glowed, the same color as Veer's pulse. It hovered just a few feet away from him, watching, waiting. Jake didn't move. The bee didn't attack. It turned and flew away, back into the jungle. Jake stepped back inside, heart racing. Vi was sitting up now, her breathing stronger, but her back had changed again. The skin around the swelling looked harder, like armor. Her voice was low. I can hear them, she whispered. Jake froze. What? I can hear the hive in my head, like a soft voice. It's calling me queen. Jake sat down beside her. You need to rest, but Veery shook her head. No, you don't understand. They don't just want me, they need me. Jake looked at her. This is crazy, you're just a girl. She turned her glowing eyes to him. Not anymore. He ran more tests, hoping to find a way to stop. The venom spread, but part of him knew the truth. There was no stopping it. This was evolution, a change designed by nature itself. The swelling wasn't a problem. It was a crown. That night, Vi stood up on her own. Her back was stronger now, her skin shimmered. Faintly, Jake handed her a cloak to cover the mark. Why are you helping me? She asked. Jake shrugged. You didn't ask. Toby stung. It's not your fault. She looked at him quiet, then she whispered, I'm scared. He nodded. Me too. Suddenly they heard a sound. Buzz, 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 not just one bee, hundreds, thousands. Jake grabbed his rifle and opened the door. The jungle was full of glowing eyes. They weren't here to attack, they were bowing to her. Jake turned to very slowly. Her eyes glowed, bright as stars, and for the first time she smiled. The night was cold, but inside, the jungle, a quiet fire burned, one that didn't need flames. Jake stood at the doorway of his lab, rifle in hand. His eyes scanned the trees, the tall grass, the shadows, but no danger. Came just the soft, endless sound of wings. The alien bees didn't leave. They didn't attack. They stayed still, watching every single one of them face the lab-like soldiers waiting for their command. Inside, Veer sat on the bed. Her knees hugged to her chest, her eyes glowed faintly. She didn't speak. She just listened. Jake had seen strange things before on different planets. Creatures that fed on light worms, that could smell fear, but this was different. The hive wasn't just a group of bugs anymore. It was a mind, a single living mind, and somehow, and Fury was now part of it. Hours passed. Jake tried to sleep, but kept checking the monitors the bees had not moved all night. Even the computer's motion tracker was confused. He glanced at Veery. Her breathing was steady. Her skin was smoother now, almost like it had healed overnight. But one thing had changed. The swelling on her lower back had opened slightly. It wasn't bleeding. It was glowing like a hive. Light. Morning came fast, but the sun couldn't shine through the thick fog around the lab. Jake stepped outside and picked up his drone controller. He sent Asmal flying drone above the trees. What he saw made him freeze. A massive hive had formed overnight, bigger than any he had seen on Zillary. It was shaped like a throne. Sitting in the middle of it was nothing, empty, waiting for her. He rushed back inside Veery. You need to see this. She stood, slowly, no longer weak. I already know what I dreamed it. He said the hive was calling me. It wants me to return. Jake frowned. That's not a dream, Veery. That's the venom. It's in your head. She shook her head. No. Jake, it's deeper than that. It doesn't just want a queen, it remembers one. Jake stared. What do you mean? Veery looked at him, her face serious now. The hive had a queen once. She died long ago, but her mind never left it. Floats inside the bees, waiting to live. Again, Jake's blood ran cold. You mean, you're not just becoming their queen? You're becoming her. Veer didn't answer because they both knew it was already happening. Later that afternoon, Veer stood by the window watching the bees. They no longer scared her. She raised her hand once, and the bees shifted in the air like they felt her signal. Jake saw it too. They're linked to you, he said. But for how long? Very looked at him. As long as I stay strong, and if you lose control, she paused. Then the hive loses its mind. Suddenly the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed through the lab. Jake dropped his tools. Earthquake, no fury, whispered. It's her. Jake ran to the monitors again from the far side of the jungle. Something massive was moving. Trees snapped. The bees scattered. Jake's eyes went wide. What is that? Fury's face went pale. She's coming. Jake grabbed his gun. Who? Fury whispered one word, the old queen. She ran outside, ignoring Jake's calls. The bees flew around her, but didn't sting. Instead, they cleared a path. Jake followed her. What do? You mean old queen? You said she was dead. I thought she was, Fairy said, but something's wrong. She never gave up her throne. Jake stared at the jungle, where the buzzing now sounded like thunder, and then they saw her, a massive creature part. Part monster. Thick armor, long wings, eyes full of rage. Jake raised his weapon. We have to run. But Ver didn't move. No. She said, quietly. I'm the new queen now. The old queen was near. Jake could feel it in his bones. The ground shook with every step she took. Her massive body made the jungle tremble. The sky above buzzed with dark-winged bees that didn't follow. Vithi belonged to her. The last queen. Very stood, still breathing heavy. Her eyes were locked on the horizon where trees snapped like toothpicks. The jungle whispered in fear. She's not just coming to scare me, Vi said softly. She's coming to destroy me. Jake stepped beside her, rifle ready. Then we leave, we hide. You're not ready for this. I can't run, Very whispered. If I run, the hive loses its mind. I am the hive now. Jake shook his head. You're still. Very, you're not some insect queen. Vi didn't answer. Was listening to something far away. Not with her ears, with her mind. Inside the lab, she pulled off the cloak that covered her back. Jake turned quickly. Wait, Veer. What are you doing? She stepped in front of a mirror. Her back glowed, and the mark from the sting had now grown into a pattern. A crown-like shape just above her spine. Blue lines reached across her back like roots, O-rings made of light. But it wasn't just her back. Her arms now shimmered faintly. Her fingernails had hardened. Her skin was smoother, stronger. Her voice, when she spoke again, sounded layered, as if two voices echoed at once. She's inside me, Vi said. Not just her memories, her will. She's trying to take control. Jake felt his chest tighten. Then fight her. Very turned, her eyes glowing like twin moons. I'm trying, but it's hard, so hard. Suddenly, Vi stumbled. Her knees hit the floor, and she screamed, not in pain but in rage. The lights in the lab flickered. All around them, bees flew to the windows, smashing into the glass over and over. Jake ran to her. What's happening? Vi gasped. She wants to be reborn through me. Her body began to shake. Jake held her tightly. Don't let her win. You're not her. I don't know if I'm strong enough, she cried. The lab door burst open. Bees flew in, surrounding them, but didn't sting. Instead, they circled, Very, waiting. Jake backed away slowly. They're not here to kill you. No. Very whispered, eyes full of tears. They're here to crown me. She stood again shakily. Jake watched as the bees slowly landed on her shoulders. Her arms, her hair, they moved like silk. Gentle, slow, respectful, then one by one they flew into the air, spinning in a wide circle around her. In that moment she looked like a queen, but Jake still saw the fear in her face. You're still in control, he said. Hold on to that, hold on to who you are. Fury nodded slowly. I'll try. Then a loud roar echoed from the jungle. The old queen had arrived through the trees, her massive black and red body pushed forward. She had sharp stingers on every limb, wings like blades, and a face that looked part insect, part skull. The bees outside split into two groups. One side flew toward Vi, the other toward the monster. A war was about to begin. Jake grabbed his gear. We need to go now. But Vi didn't move. She's calling me, she said, not with words, with challenge. Jake stepped in front of her. You're not ready to face her. I don't have a choice. Very said if I don't fight her, she'll destroy everything. The hive, even herself. Jake looked. At her glowing skin, her powerful posture, her shaking hands. You are changing, he said. But you're still you. That means you can't choose who to be. Very looked up at him, her voice steady now. Then I choose to fight the trees split apart like they were made of paper. Jake stood frozen, eyes wide, as the old queen stepped out of the jungle. She was massive, easily as big as a cargo truck. Her body was black, with red veins glowing under the shell. Her wings buzzed with deep, angry sounds that made the air shake. She didn't walk. She glided, her legs barely touching the ground, as if the earth itself feared her weight. Veer stood between her and the labor. Arms were bare, her eyes glowing brighter than before. Her long silver hair fluttered in the wind created by the queen's wings. Jake reached for her shoulder. You don't have to do this. We can run. We can hide in the caves. No, Very whispered. She didn't come for you. She came for me. The sky above turned dark as thousands of bees flew overhead. Half followed the old queen, the rest circled above Vi. The swarm had split, unsure who to obey. This is their test, Vi said. Voice flat, they'll only follow one queen. Jake looked at the monstrous creature moving closer. And what happens if you lose? Veer didn't answer, but her silence said enough. The old queen let out a loud hiss. Her wings beat fast, sending sharp air blasts. Toward the ground, her front claws slammed into the dirt, creating small craters. Then she did something strange. She bowed. Jake blinked. She's submitting. No, Veer said, she's challenging. A moment later, the old queen stood tall again, raised her head, and screamed a scream that sounded like 100 hornets in a storm. Veer's body stiffened, her glowing spine flared. She stepped forward. This wasn't just a fight. This was a ritual. The bees made a perfect circle around them, buzzing in place. The battle was about to begin. Jake backed away. What kind of fight is this? Veer's skin shimmered. Not one with weapons. The ground cracked under the old queen's clawed legs as she charged. Very didn't move. At the last second, the queen swung a limb toward her, but it stopped midair, blocked by a wall of glowing bees that buzzed in defense of Veer. Jake gasped. They protected you. Vi didn't smile. Her face was focused, her hands lifted slightly. She wasn't just controlling them, she was them. Then it began. The old queen launched forward again. This time, faster, meaner. Her claws struck down, sending chunks of ground flying. Very ducked, rolling across the dirt, then stood tall with her arms wide. A strange hum vibrated from her body. Bees flew in tight spiraling lines, cutting across the old queen's wings. The queen screeched and swatted at them. But more came. She was strong but clumsy. Very was smaller but smarter. And her hive listened. Jake watched in shock as the sky became a storm of wings and light. Every move Very made, the bees followed every breath. Every hum, they understood her, protected. Her obeyed her. She's not just a queen, Jake whispered. She's their heart. Suddenly, the old queen caught Veer by the leg with a sharp claw and threw her into a tree. Very, Jake shouted, running forward. But she stood again, limping, bleeding, still glowing. Her voice shook but stayed firm. I'm not done. Very closed her eyes, and the mark on her back burst with energy. The bees screamed in unison. In a blink, they dove on the old queen, covering her body in a swarm so thick she vanished from view. The jungle trembled, the sky buzzed, and then silence. The bees pulled back. The old queen lay on the ground, still breathing. Her shell cracked, her legs twitched weakly. Her head turned toward Veer and then dropped. Jake walked slowly to V's side. She was shaking her legs, barely holding her up. You did it, he whispered. I looked at the fallen queen. No, she said softly. We did it then. She looked at the swarm. They circled her gently. Slowly, then flew upward, forming a spiral in the sky. It was a sign they had chosen. The battlefield was still, but nothing felt. Calm, the old queen's body lay broken on the jungle floor. Her wings were torn. Herschel cracked her stinger, buried deep in the ground beside her. The swarm circled high above, silent, watching. But Very didn't smile. She couldn't, because something inside her had changed. Jake helped her back to the lab. She was hurt, bleeding, but not weak. Her legs shook, but she didn't fall. Her eyes were no longer just glowing. They were burning with strange light. The mark on her back was now fully formed. It had stretched down her hips and wrapped along her lower spine. Her body had completed the change. Even the swelling, once just a strange sting, was now glowing with power. Soft energy pulsed beneath her skin, focused around the base of her spine. Her movement was different now. Smoother, stronger, more queen-like. Jake laid her on the bed. "You need rest," but Vi shook her head. "I can't, she's not fully dead." Jake blinked. "What are you talking about?" "We saw her fall." Very turned her head slowly, her body lost. "But her mind, it's inside me now." Jake stepped back, heart pounding. "You mean she's in your head?" Very nodded. "Not just a voice, not just memories, her spirit, her instincts, her." Will Jake swallowed. "Can you fight her?" Fury gave a small smile. "I already am." Later that evening, while Jake recharged the lab's shields, Fury sat cross-legged on the floor, her back arched slightly. The lights on her spine flickered with strange patterns. She hummed softly, and when she did, the bees outside hummed too. But something was wrong. Her voice, once soft, turned deeper. Her movement slowed and her posture shifted. Jake turned to see her eyes glowing brighter than ever, too bright. "Very," he said. She didn't answer. "Very. Are you okay?" Still nothing. He reached for her, but she stood up suddenly. Her arms snapped back like insect wings. Her spine glowed fully from neck to waist. She looked at him, but not like herself, and then she spoke in the old queen's voice. "You are not welcome, human." Jake froze. No. Vi, don't let her take over the queen." Inside, Very smiled. "She is weak. Tired her. Mine sleeps now. The true queen will rise again." Jake didn't wait. He ran to the scanner and activated the neural stabilizer, a tool made to calm hive creatures. A soft pulse filled the air. Veer's body shook, her knees buckled, and then she screamed. Her voice echoed like two beings crying out at once. Jake rushed to her side. "Fight her, Very. Don't let her win." "I'm trying," she shouted. She's pushing her back glowed even brighter. The swelling on her lower body pulsed hard, as if the queen's energy was trying to force its way out. And then boom. A shockwave burst from her back, knocking over tables and tools. Bees flew into the room through vents, and cracks buzzing in a frenzy. Jake shielded his eyes when he looked up. Ver was floating, not standing, floating like a queen lifted by power. The air turned heavy. Jake dropped to his knees. The bees stopped mid-air, waiting. Time itself felt slower. Then Vi opened her eyes, and they were hers again. "I'm still here," she whispered. Jake exhaled. "Welcome back," he said, barely able to smile through the fear. She landed gently, her feet touching the ground like feathers. The glow faded just a little, but something was different now. She wasn't just a girl anymore. She wasn't even just a queen. She was both. "I can feel her inside me," Very said softly. "But I control her now. She tried to take my mind, and I took hers instead." Jake stared at her. "What does that make you?" Very smiled. "Just a little stronger." She turned toward the swarm outside, now calm and still. Her voice echoed with grace and command. "It's time," she said. "I have to go to the hive. Finish what was started." Jake frowned. "Will you come back?" Very looked at him. "If there's anything of me left when this is over, I will." She stepped outside, bees moving with her like a river of wings, and as Jake watched her walk into the jungle, glowing softly from head to toe, he knew the final battle hadn't been fought yet. It was coming inside. The hive, the jungle, was silent, not from fear but from respect, as Veer walked deeper into the glowing forest. The alien bees parted like a sea of wings. They hovered quietly, heads bowed, eyes on the queen they had chosen and feared. Jake followed a few steps behind, unsure if he was walking beside a friend or something far greater. The trees ahead opened into a massive clearing. At the center stood the hive. It wasn't just a structure. It was a live, ancient tower made of glowing wax and humming with energy. Veins of gold pulsed through it. The whole thing breathed like a giant lung, and at its center was the throne cell, a sacred place where no human had ever stood. Barry stopped. She turned to Jake. "This is as far as you go." Jake shook his head. "No, I came this far. I'm not letting you face this alone." Veery gave a soft smile. "You were there when I was stung. You helped me when I didn't know who I was, but this I must do." Alone, Jake looked into her glowing eyes. They still held warmth, still held Furry nodded slowly, then go and when she stepped into the hive instantly the walls lit up. The bees buzzed louder, filling the chamber with a chorus of voices not angry, not afraid, curious, loyal. She walked down a tunnel made of wax and light past giant, larve glowing eggs and worker drones who froze when they saw her, and then she reached the throne cell. It was a hollow dome lit from within by bioluminescent crystals. In the middle, raised from the ground, was a circular platform like a seat but grown. From the hive itself it pulsed, it welcomed her. But as Veer stepped forward, pain hit her chest like fire. She gasped and dropped to her knees from inside her mind. The old queen stirred. "You think you've won?" The voice hissed. "This is me throne, my hive." My crown fury clenched her fists. "Not anymore, you are just a child." The queen sneered. "Your body may hold the mark, but your heart is weak." Vis stood slowly. "I don't need to destroy you. I only need to rise above you." The queen screamed inside her fury, stepped onto the platform the moment her feet touched. The throne light exploded from beneath her. The walls shook. The entire hive hummed in unison. A bright wave spread across the jungle. Even Jake, waiting outside, shielded his eyes from the flash. Then silence. The kind of silence that comes after a storm inside the throne cell. Veer stood taller. The crown mark on her back now stretched to her shoulders. Her voice, when she spoke, echoed without a fort. "I am the hive." Thousands of bees swarmed into the chamber. They didn't attack. They bowed. The old queen's voice faded into dust inside her. Gone outside, the jungle began to change. The air turned warm. The ground, once dry and cracked, pulsed with life. The dead hive areas began to regrow. Flowers bloomed instantly. Jake saw it all, and then he saw her. Very stepped out of the hive, but she didn't float or glow like a goddess. She walked like a person, like his Vi. Jake smiled. "So you're really the queen now?" Very chuckled. "Was there ever any doubt?" He grinned. "You sure took your time." She stepped close. "I kept my promise." Jake looked around. "What happens now?" She looked up at the sky, then at the hive behind her. "I rebuild Elite. I protect this world." "And me?" he asked. "You go home," she said softly, "but not alone." Jake raised an eyebrow. Very whistled gently. A small bee the size of a fist landed on Jake's shoulder. "It blinked at him. A gift," she said, "to keep you safe and to remind you once saved a queen." Jake nodded. "Long live." The queen very smiled, her silver hair glowing in the wind. "Long live us all."